back. We are here for the Between Lilacs in the Dark, episode 2. We're going to jump right into it, starting with Jack, who had gotten a mastermind clue from last time. And I think, Jack, you had you had pulled on the Cosmic Passage as the mask.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is correct. Yeah.
Right. So I think,
That's one of those ones that doesn't come with a flashback, but I think offline I kind of spun a little bit of fiction to go with it, but it doesn't necessarily come with a scene
yes, it
or
does.
anything like that. Oh, it
I
does.
in mine it
Oh, there we
does.
go. All right. Okay.
So it leads right into your mastermind
Raw, it
clue.
doesn't
I,
raw, it
look,
doesn't, but
okay,
that's great. Yeah.
Jim, get used to this.
No, I'm excited. That's fantastic.
So anyway, yeah, I get called out for like not doing too much raw sometimes. But anyway, anyhow,
Consider yourself called in.
so yeah, you have like you've pulled in cosmic passage because of your mask, and I think, and especially with your sensitivity bringing up so high, I think you've lived a long time. You've seen a lot. You've seen a lot of shit. But I think this is something a little bit new. Maybe as you're sitting there in the at the card room, maybe you hear echoes, maybe you see things, maybe you like go into inside and then outward because you find yourself, I think, all of a sudden you're sitting in a place. First, you were at a card table with Lord Mumford and the lady and someone who's referred to as Morton. But then it seems like the card room has disappeared. And now you smell scents of loam and soil, and you feel breezes against your skin as if you have suddenly come outside and you look around and there are trees now around you. Not close or anything like that, but you've just suddenly found yourself in some kind of forest. And for all your travels, for all the places that you've been, this seems familiar and yet very strange. And Jack, name something about this forest that you've either seen before or you've smelled before that makes you think, oh, I've been here and it is haunted.
Um, hmm. Oh, I think it's the fact that it is very it's got that smell of like everything smells like new and like you said kind of spring and loamy and stuff like that, but kind of just underneath it there's this like lingering smell of like ash and charcoal and I'm in a forest that burned down and this is the growth that has replaced the where it you know whatever for fire raged through here and you know because of the kind of undergrowth and stuff, it grows so quickly. If you didn't know to look for it or look for the signs of it, you might walk through without realizing that it had recently undergone this conflagration.
Yeah. I think the card table has disappeared now, and you realize you're sitting on like one of those flat rocks. Like it has like a flat top, but it's like a little boulder, like kind of half buried. And then you hear steps coming towards you, very very um, very tiny steps. Um, And like they're not trying to hide or anything like that. Just somebody approaching you, like as if they're just taking a walk in the forest.
Let's just kind of casually glance over my shoulder. And as I do, I say, this is the part where you tell me whether this is a memory or something you're doing to me.
And you see the little figure of Miss Pemberton Potts. She's wearing her high-necked, collared, deep purple gown with her scarf wrapped around her head and her wonderfully flowered hat. And she's approaching you with a smile. And she's just looking very casual and just, her hands just folded in front of her, but in her, like against her elbow, she has like a great basket full of flowers spilling out of it and such. And she says,
Oh, just taking a wander through this place. You know it, don't you?
It's familiar to me. I'm experiencing deja vu, but I get that a lot, as you might imagine. And I literally make this gesture. There's a lot to sort through in there. Uh, Mortals with a regular lifespan have a difficult enough time figuring out what happened when and what the details were. You can imagine how much I have in there to sort through. Would you care to give me a hint?
Other when and other whiles. Hmm.
Hmm.
This place has been here and everywhere. The question is, Jack,
and she looks at you full in the face.
are you ready for the forest's coming?
I have found Miss Pemberton Potts that no matter how much I prepare for any given portent or prophecy or dire warning, that it somehow manages to take me by surprise.
And she just gives you just a warm smile. And then she'll hand you a flower. It's an indiscriminate flower, maybe one that you've seen, maybe one that you haven't. And as soon as she hands it to you, whether you take it or not, it's like the vision melts away. And then you
Oh yeah,
find,
I'll 100% take it from her and give it a little sniff, and maybe it fades out as I'm
mm-hmm,
trying to.
and it fades out,
Yeah.
and you find yourself back in the card room, and the rest of the table is looking at you as you're sniffing a card.
Okay. Um. Uh. And I say, and I look up at them and I say, oh, just seeing if they're marked. I know someone that used to put a dab of perfume on a particular card, and then when they held them up to their face, they, that could. So anyway, uh, everything seems clean. Carry on.
And I think they will still continue to look at you as we shift to Lady Ross Carter. And when you walk away from Mr. Thistle's shop and you leave that wonderful plant somewhere with the homeless or wherever you leave it, do you continue to walk back home or do you hail a cab? What do you do?
I think it's a lovely evening, so I might stroll for a little while until I get
It's
tired.
actually still daytime.
Okay, so it's a lovely afternoon. Uh, I'll stroll for a little while until I get tired. I think perhaps I'm looking for a park to sit and enjoy the sun for a little bit while it's still out. I think I see maybe not so much a park, just a series of benches, perhaps along a sidewalk. I sit down and take a load off.
Perhaps as you take a load off, as you say, maybe the scene before you kind of reminds you of something um, in the past. There is seems to be a little tableau that is being played out here nearby. You know, there's like maybe a little pond with some ducks, but then like nearby is like a little tableau of some actors that are declaiming lines from Hamlet. And there's one who is doing Ophelia's flower speech. It's like, and then she says, "There's rosemary. That's for remembrance. Pray, you love, remember." And that sparks a memory, perhaps, in your mind of a well-worn letter that you might have received from a familiar acquaintance, quoting that very thing, but maybe in a different context. Maybe you remember what she was referring to when she made that quote about rosemary and remembering.
I think that perhaps I'm remembering a series of plays. Perhaps also A Midsummer Night's Dream was also being performed at the same time. Do I know more about what the letter said, or am I remembering?
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's something specific from Pemberton Potts, of course. But she had written to you.
Yeah, I think she wrote to me with a rather outlandish claim that she was actually a direct descendant from Shakespeare's secret love that is often talked about. I just rolled my eyes at that assertion. It is all rumor, but I entertained it enough to let her carry on and possibly sink herself in a detail that would be easily refuted.
She had many dreams, of course, and many fancies, you would think.
She was a fan of the theater, that's for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Quite dramatic, if you ask me.
But yes, so. But she did write to you, and she loved quoting certain things. This was a favorite of hers, that particular quote. And I will put both clues into the Mastermind threat column for sure. And we go from there into the present day, where we have Ms. Larabee still at the hedge maze and accosted by the bobbies, one of whom has smelled your breath and smelled the watered bourbon or whatever the hell you were drinking, and said,
It was coffee with a generous shot of bourbon in it. A typical, how one typically fortifies oneself for breakfast.
"Whatever it is, I don't think it's good enough to be disturbing the peace. I think we're gonna need to haul you in." So, day move. They will essentially take you off to a holding cell, unless you want to try and do something about it somehow. So, what would you like to do? And please tell me what you think will happen if you fail or lose your nerve.
So it's London in the 1890s. The bobbies, half of the bobbies were on the take. I am going to attempt to I'm going to attempt to bribe them. I say, and like still, and so Rose looks at them and says, "My dear constables, I'm sure that if you were to look the other way on this little endeavor, I think I could make it worth your while." And she produces a purse and pulls out a couple of American silver dollar coins, which were worth a hell of a lot of money back then. and offers 2 American silver dollar coins each.
Weight is true. Okay. All right. But what will happen if you fail or lose your nerve?
Oh, I think they're gonna. I think if this doesn't work, I think they are going to not only haul me off to jail, but charge me with bribery.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. So, please roll with composure. Unless you can parlay something else.
I will go with composure.
Okay.
Oh, actually, could I instead? Could that be presence? Because I'm trying to convince them of something.
Sure.
Okay. My presence is a little better, so I'm gonna give this a try. Let me take a quick look at my stash to see if there's anything else here that might help me here. Yeah, I don't think so. So let's roll 2d6 plus 1 and see what we get.
Okay.
That is a 9.
Yeah, one of them has the temerity to actually, like, kind of bite into it and just, like, kind of check it. And then, like, kind of, like, make sure that it's real and shit. And, all right. You get off easy this time. But don't let us catch you disturbing the peace again. And, of course, they'll take your money and, kind of leave you be. And, yeah. Oh, conveniently ignore the distinct sense of a little bit of public drunkenness, per se. We know nothing.
And as they leave, Rose just mutters under her breath, like, "You both, each of you had 3 stouts for breakfast." She mutters under her breath, hopefully out of their earshot, talking to me about public drunkenness. Well, the very nerve of such people.
How do you feel after this wonderful experience, Larabee?
I think Rose feels like pretty embarrassed about this whole situation, and perhaps a little disturbed because she did kind of hallucinate a skeletal arms reaching out from this. So I think more disturbed than embarrassed.
Okay. All right. Well, disturbed is your condition then from the 9, for sure. Gonna cut over to the good
I'm going
doc.
to
Go ahead.
if it's okay, I'm going to change that condition to can I trust my eyes?
Sure. I like that. Go for it.
I need to step off camera for just a moment. I'll
Yeah,
be
good.
back in a moment.
Absolutely. All right. Good doctor. All right. Dr. Whitford, you have just looked at the body. You've established that, like, you can tell that the branches are still slightly growing, even in and out of the body. And then you did, discover that letter, that very steamy letter. What would you like to do now?
Who's in the room with me? Anyone?
No.
Hmm.
They kind of didn't want to, like, some of them feel like the body's cursed because of the way it is, obviously, and the others just don't want to deal with the dead body,
I feel like none of this is wet enough for me. Like this isn't really organic, or it's organic. This isn't a body. This is some weird magical artifact.
Yeah.
So I am uncomfortable with it.
And actually, let's see. Let me look at your thing. Yeah. So, yeah, for your 9, it's like that is your condition. You are uncomfortable. Let me see. Hold on. Let's make it interesting. Your condition is disturbed by the desiccation.
Okay. And have I looked at just the body, or have I looked around the?
You have not looked around the room or anything like that yet.
Okay. I should probably do that.
Okay. Could totally roll another info move if you so like.
I would love to. One moment.
Yep.
Oh, which dice?
Info move with reason if you're just looking around.
I'm just looking around. That will be a 6.
Interesting. Which dice is being very weird today? Probably
But
heard
aren't
me.
you supposed to be nice, witch dice?
Yes, yes, you are. Must have heard me from last time. Okay, so let's see. A 6 on an info move. I think, you start to smell something. You start to smell this intense smell of basil in this otherwise empty room. I mean, obviously, you know, it's nowhere near the kitchens, and you've been in this room since you came in with the body, and, you know, there's nothing in here that would even give the remotest scent of basil. But all of a sudden, the smell of basil is intensely, like, filling the room, and you have no idea where it's coming from. And then I think when you're looking around the room, have you turned your back on the door?
Yes.
Okay.
I've focused on the body and forgot to remain aware of everything else.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so a hand comes down on your shoulder. As soon as you, like, you know, smell that scent of basil, like, you know, filling your nostrils, and a hand comes down on your shoulder. When you turn, it's Emma Gilmore. She was the one that was up crying, like, up on the rooftop terrace, and she was very upset, and she was the one that had found the body. But she's no longer with Cobb, and she's no longer upset. In fact, her eyes are very, very black. Even the sclera is black. And her hand is clutching at your shoulder tightly and getting tighter by the moment. And
Well,
she says,
Do you hear the whispers? Doctor, they're calling you.
and we're going to cut over to Jack. Jack, you are at the card table. Checking for, well, marked cards. So, but what would you like to do now?
I'm going to slap my cards down. Whist. Sorry, old man. And then uh kind of cock an eyebrow um at the lady across the table from me, the one who seems like kind of disinterested in what's going on, like she doesn't really want to be there.
Yeah.
And I say, if you will excuse me, ma'am, and kind of get up. I guess I don't have a hat to tip or whatever, but I'll do a little bow, and I'll say it. If you'll excuse me, I have some ablutions to perform, but I will return, and I will find my way to the privy, which is, I mean, is this a nice enough place that it's going to have one indoors, or
Yeah,
or is
it's gonna
that
have
going
an
to take me
indoor.
out
It's
into the yard?
well, I mean, there's some outdoors.
Okay.
know,
So
but
then I will go into the privy and I will close behind me and I will, slap the lock closed. And then I will, sit down on the closed toilet. Um, um, and kind of take a moment to concentrate. And I'm going to use the old bones move here.
nice. Okay, so you want to just touch?
It's our first time seeing what's going on. And like this almost certainly like has, whatever. This is the men's privy. So certainly there are, whatever. There's like maybe they have like a sheet from the newspaper up on the wall or something like that, and and I'm sure there are things carved in posts and stuff like that that have carvings over carvings over carvings and stuff like that. And I'm just gonna kind of just sort of reach my hands out and just sort of close my eyes and just run my fingers down there and let them fall into the gaps of those carvings and the stuff that people have the put on the walls and the joints in here, and see what comes to me.
Roll with sensitivity, please.
Yeah, all right. So let me just since we haven't used this yet, let me just read it so I know for sure what I'm doing here. So when you have the cosmic passage marked and touch, listen to, or otherwise attune to a building's architectural details, roll with sensitivity. On a hit, a ghost will appear and answer a single question I pose to it, or perform a small task of my choice, and the answers it gives can be in the form of a clue at the keeper's discretion. So one of the things that mask that I put on did was bump my sensitivity, so it's now at +3. It did lower my composure a little bit. I'm not quite as cool as a cucumber and jaded as I was before this. But let's see here. Let me go to my witch dice here. And I am Jack. So I'm going to go 2d6. 1, 2, 3. And then roll it. That is a 12.
Nice. Okie dokie. All right, 10 as above, except, the ghost won't ask for anything in return. All right. So, what's your question, or what do you want it to do? So, what do you, let's say, hold on.
What's the ghost look like?
Yeah, this ghost is...
Is it a working girl? Is it somebody that got drowned in the toilet here, or what's going on? What's the yeah?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Hold on a second. Let me think a second. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you know what? I think now that you mention it, oh god, this is terrible. I think it's a scruffy looking guy who it's a big guy who looks like he's got his yeah, he's got like kind of like a scruffy work shirt and like tradesman's trousers and like suspenders and such and so forth. I think he was like one of the traveling merchants, and he unfortunately died here.
Sure.
Like in the privy.
Yeah.
Like his heart gave out, and he just kind of like looks at you and just kind of like resigned. I'm like, ugh, what? That's the kind of look he gives.
And I say to him, just to satisfy my curiosity, young man, did you pass before or after you got your money's worth here?
Well, I mean, okay, so technically I could be a real hard ass and could say that's your question. I could.
You could. That's just me making conversation.
I won't do that to you. Like he's actually thinking about it. Like the guy's actually thinking about it. And it's like, I think I got my money's worth. They're really kind here.
Well, that's good. That is good. I envy you, the fact that you get to rest at least a little bit. And trust me, as a man who has been everywhere and talked to many, many ghosts, the view from here is not nearly as bad as others I have seen. By any chance, when you were about the place, were you witness to a soul getting, I don't know, dragged into the earth or ripped apart by branches? Or there's a fellow upstairs that we found with a hedge growing out of him.
Fancy that? A hedge. Ah. What have I seen lately? You know, time's a bit funky around here.
Well, you don't need to tell me how confusing it can be when it stretches out like that, yes. This would be recently.
Well, it's all happening at the same time, you know that, right? You're doing...
Yes, philosophically, etc. There's no difference, I know. Focus, please.
All right.
The corpse with the hedge growing out of it.
All right. Is that the one who looks like the tough, or the one that's wearing the skirt?
There's more than one that died with a hedge growing out of them.
I told you, time's funny here. You got, like, someone looks like a Roman, like he just wearing a toga and he's like out of a hedge growing out of his leg.
Ah, yes, that's the one that I'm talking about. The one with the skirt. Tell me what you know about them.
All right. Let's see. What did I know? Ah, yeah. Well, I didn't see him go, if that makes any sense to you. What I did hear, though, was I remember several people talking all over themselves. It was a cacophony of things happening just after they found him. You know, screaming, crying, and all that kind of stuff. But it was interesting to see, of course, the usual. Two people off to the side, saying he had it coming. And they were arguing about it as if, well, they couldn't agree on that was the case.
That must be nice.
Yeah.
To have it coming. I wouldn't know. Well, you've been very helpful. Thank you so much. Can I light a fragrant candle in here, or perhaps hang some sage up?
Nah. Just for the fact you ask about my going. That was quite kind of you. Thank you.
For what it's worth, you really don't have to stay here if you don't want to. I mean, unless you're enjoying the view.
Again, it's all the same, right? It's all happening at the same time. It's almost like I can get the show when it's happening at different times and seeing all sorts of different people. And why not?
Why not indeed? Well, thank you for your help.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I will get up, make a show of running the water, and then, go out. And I think I'm going to... Can we maybe say that, like, when I am walking out of the privy, is of the do we actually hear the gunshots from outside? Is that a thing?
Yes.
There we go. Okay.
Absolutely set that timing. Sure.
Yeah. So it's like one of those things where, like, I'm walking back to the card table and I hear kabam, 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 and then just like whoop, like just change direction and start to walk outside. Not running, not like excited or anything, but
Right.
Like there's something going on with Miss Larabee if there are, pistols being fired. So
sure.
Head out in that direction.
Yep. Lady Ross Carter.
Yes.
When you have that daydream about the remembrance about the letter,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Pemberton Potts's fancies and such. I mean, where do you go from there? Do you come
So
back to yourself?
yeah, I kind of like a daydream, just kind of thinking about Shakespeare, the bard, as people called him, kind of a self-proclaimed poet. And I'm like, wait, Shakespeare, and Mr. Thistle was talking about poetry as well. Perhaps I should seek out a poet. And so she's kind of wondering, and Clint's wondering as well, would there be a poet at the Explorers Club, perhaps? Maybe a bard of our own.
There could be, even if there isn't one. I'm happy to provide that. I'm always happy to provide cast of characters.
Yeah. Because I'm kind of wondering, like, if there's something more to make of what we already know, how all these things connected together. Perhaps there's some information and language that we could dig out. So she's thinking that as she's walking towards the REC.
And granted, if you do that and you want to, you want to, have somebody be there, if you do, then we would mark off like a box, regardless of whether we use somebody that's already there or we create somebody from whole cloth.
Gotcha. I like that.
And you're quite fun in putting that in the chat, Jim, just because it's like sort of where I'm leaning. But anyway, yeah. So who do you want to see over at the REC?
It's a great question. Can you come back to me? Let me...
Absolutely. I'm going to go back to Dr. Whitford and deal with her 6. So I think Dr. Whitford, Emma's looking at you with those very black eyes, and her hand is coming down quite painfully on your shoulder.
Were I to all but shout, "Miss Emma, are you okay?" with the intention of summoning anyone within earshot, would anyone be curious enough to, like, it doesn't necessarily need to be another play, just, "Miss Emma, are you okay?" in my loudest, shrillest tone.
Oh, I'm fine, Dr. Whitford. I mean, there's nothing better than hearing the whispers of the forest.
And you start to notice that there's something growing out of one of her ears as she reaches for you with her other hand.
I would like to avoid that and possibly get out of the first hand with, I don't know, my advanced knowledge of nerves.
Right. So basically, I mean, like, this is what I'm giving to you as a consequence for your 6. Now, you can get out of it by either using a mask.
Okay.
Or you can run with it, and I can have you do a day move.
Oh.
Or a night move. It's getting dangerous.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. So, mask to bump it up to a 7 to 9 to get a clue for your info move, or we just keep running with this and, like, we just see how well you do with with a day move.
You know what? Let's put on a mask.
Okay.
I'll fail harder later.
Okay. Okay, so again, for Mask of the Past, you have to do those in order. If you pick a Mask of the Future, those are, you can do them in any order, whatever. If you want to use the Threat Mask, Mask of the Sharpened Glade, then that is available to you, but then everybody does it.
I'm happy to name a person I lost.
Okay, great. All right, and you can choose to do that now, or you can wait until the end of the phase to do it.
Let's wait. I would like to wait.
That's perfect. That's fine. Okay, cool. All right, so you're bumped up to 7 to 9, so that does not happen. Emma does not sneak up on you.
Okay.
And you do find a clue in the room. Give me a second. So again, this is where they put the body, is in a back room that has like a hallway, and it's mostly storage. So they kind of moved some things aside to leave room for the body to lay flat and be, examined and such. So you have to kind of move some things, or maybe open some boxes to kind of see like what the hell's around here. and such. Were you looking in any particular fashion? Or, like, were you just looking around the body to see if there was anything, any kind of indicator? Like, what specifically were you thinking when you were searching around the room?
So if this is not the place he died. This
No.
is just where the body is.
This is where the body is. Yeah.
Can I retcon to searching his clothes? Or no, I guess he would be naked.
I mean,
Ish.
they left the clothes on because, like I said, I mean, like, whatever.
Right.
I mean, well, actually, no. He was mostly naked. He probably had his drawers on. Like, you know,
Okay.
that was the only thing that he had on, pretty much.
I
Right.
imagine they tossed his clothes in here with him. So if they're
Probably,
on the
yeah.
ground, I would like to look
Sure,
for his
sure.
clothes.
Yeah. Okay, so you're searching his clothes. Okay. So, in his greatcoat, because I think they just essentially cleared out his room and such, like, and so forth. So they put all of his stuff in here. I think in his greatcoat you find his journal. So you do find his journal, but when you flip through it, this great leather thing, you see that certain entries have been torn out.
Recent, old, or both?
Old.
I am done being alone in a room with a creepy body with vines. But I have no idea where anyone else is, correct?
Well, hold on. I think maybe by the time you find the journal, maybe you hear the muffled boom, boom, boom of the gunshots.
Going to say, I'm sure you probably heard the sound of a 44 cap and ball pistol being fired like 3 or 4 times.
Sure. Yeah.
Deep sigh, Miss Larabee. Just sort of muttered to myself.
Yeah. The only one that didn't hear it was of course, like, Lady Ross Carter, because she's
Yeah.
nowhere near the Blackbirds Inn.
I will. I think I'm going to go intend to take people to task because this is in no way like no one here is attempting to solve a mystery in any way.
Oh my gosh, that's.
I don't know if I know this yet, but
Right.
I am deeply unsettled and disguising it by being offended.
Oh my gosh. So before you go, I want to know, like, how are you feeling? Like, with this whole body thing, and then the journal and such and so forth. This is for your 7 to 9. I'm trying to get
Right.
the condition.
No. I feel very out of my depth. Like,
Out of your depth.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I can solve bloody things.
Bloody
This is-
things. It's too goddamn dry. Okay, great. Oh my gosh. I feel like I need to give you something for that 12, though, Jack. I'm thinking upon it. Before I go back to Lady Ross Carter.
I mean, I'm content with you bumping the like, no kidding, making the answer a clue.
Okay.
That's the, you know, I'm perfectly happy with that.
Okay.
As opposed to just, you know, like, information that we can then, you know, base other stuff on.
Sure.
You actually, you know, give me the full blown clue.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically the clue was the whole, like.
Yep.
You know, the detail. Lady
If
Ross.
you'd have seen it, you'd have been there.
Yes, exactly. Absolutely. Okay. Lady Ross Carter. All right, so you're going to see Miriam Kestrel.
Yes. Yeah, so I'm in search of Miriam, the Royal Explorer. Royal. I cannot talk tonight. Royal.
Royal. You got it.
The Royal Explorers Club Poet Emeritus.
Okay. All right. I see blue scarf, dark eyes, always in motion. Absolutely. Take her hands, keeps a notebook in her coat. I think you're gonna have to catch up to Miriam, seriously, because she is always in motion. She is always, like, moving around. You probably actually hear the drifting of her declaiming something in the halls, something.
So I walk in and I'm about to ask if anyone has seen Miriam.
But you hear Miriam.
No, and then I hear it. I'm like, never mind. And I turn around and walk directly towards her, and I say very loudly, Miriam.
Lo, who
Come here.
speaks?
You know it's me. You know, I pay your salary.
You and all the other
well, we know that I
people.
have been the most for the arts.
Ah, well, you are the most brilliant patron, Lady Roscarter, and she takes the most brilliant bow curtsy that you've ever seen in your fine, fine life.
Thank you very much. How have you been?
Ah, wonderful, absolutely wonderful. That last performance was just enriching.
Which performance are you referring to?
Oh, all of them. They are all enriching, engaging. The audience, their glassy eyes, I consider a challenge. Their slack lips, I consider just open maws for me to declaim to and ensure that their drool shall be a testament to my art.
Well, speaking of art, I have a history question for you.
Ah.
It is about a person I'm sure you're well acquainted with, William Shakespeare. Have you heard of him?
The bard. Of course, of course, of course. Yes.
I'm curious about poetry and nature and what he may have to do with any of that. He didn't seem particularly one to write too much about nature, but he did refer to it quite a bit.
Oh.
You know, a rose by any other name and whatnot.
Well, they all do. Absolutely. I mean, things of the natural world have metaphor and allegory and all those wonderful terms that just give us some pause and imagery and visual for something to stand in for our own lives and meaning. Are you speaking of something specific?
No, but you've convinced me that you may be the right person for the job. Speaking of which, I have a job.
Wonderful. Absolutely. What can I do for you?
I would like to hire you to come with me and write a poem, or just merely observe from an artistic's point of view a situation that we are involved in.
Oh? Do you wish me to write about a situation?
Well, if you can write, if the situation speaks to you, in a way that would stir your emotions. That's really what I'm interested in, is someone able to look at things with different emotions than I. Some people often claim me to be quite robotic, but I think they just don't know me.
Well, you do have a certain distant air, shall we say, Lady Roscarter. I mean,
I keep things serious. Down to earth.
But even the earth has some liveliness to it. You add water and it can turn into mud, which is just squelches in the fingers and under the feet. You would never squelch my madame.
Oh, no, I would never squash anyone's anything. I'm more just I need your point of view.
Well, I have many of those, but I would be glad to. If you could give a little bit more information about what I would need to do when we get to whatever place this situation is.
So, Mads, this is Clint asking a question since we're going to check this off as a member of the REC. What I would like her to be able to do is go with us somewhere and, come up with some prose, some verse, something that could possibly be used as a clue, if you think that would be fair.
Interesting. Okay, so
not that you have to go and write poetry during our off week, but
Or I could, because there's actually something in here that could be hysterically funny if I put that in there as a clue.
Because that's like mechanically what I'm trying to imagine this person could do is like go places and like shine a beautiful light on something that might be dirty, or actually maybe even vice versa. Like,
right.
Something
well,
that's
there's
beautiful.
something that they could possibly discover or give you.
Okay.
Give you a different viewpoint on it. It's like, have you thought about this? And that
Yes.
could be hilariously funny, at least to me. So yeah, sure, absolutely. I'll be curious. I'll be curious. Okay.
So I say, we have a little situation at a local business, and it does involve a dead body. I have to get that right out in front. I don't want it to be shocking. When you see it, are you okay around dead bodies?
Musing and ruminating over a corpse.
I'll take that as a yes.
Huh.
And I say, do you have a card or something to write an address down on?
And she just laughs and she produces a pen and her notebook with a flourish.
Well, I give her the address.
Of course. And then she just writes it down. Oh, little blackbirds. Ah, yes.
You know it.
Yes.
Excellent. Well, then I will call upon you and meet you there.
Yes, absolutely. And then yes, like, she'll stay in the one room and like, muse a little bit more over like, what she was doing before you came upon her, and she'll meet you over at Little Blackbirds.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Larabee, you're still like around the hedge maze, and maybe this is around the time that after the gunshots, maybe at the front of the hedge maze, maybe this is where Dr. Whitford and Jack, maybe you come together and meet.
Dr. Whitford, hello. If we're lucky, Ms. Larabee will have produced a specimen for you.
Do we
And of course,
see the bobbies or pass the bobbies, or
Oh yeah,
are they gone?
you pass the bobbies on the way, like in, like maybe they're just coming out of the
Yeah, one of them's like biting the coin to make sure that it's solid. Yeah.
Oh, good. I see Miss Larabee is involved with the constabulary. That should help.
I'm sure they're familiar with her by now.
I'm
And
not sure that familiarity breeds anything good here.
And I kind of squint at the maze and I say, I have not had the pleasure of navigating this particular obstacle, Doctor.
If Mads will permit it, I would like indignation to just power me through a hedge maze. Like, that sort of strong striding where you just somehow get where you're going.
Yes, absolutely.
And
But
Yeah,
Rose,
I just kind of fall in step behind her and I'm going, Ms. Larabee.
so Rose is so after the bobbies had left her presence and turned a corner on the hedge maze, that's when she reaches into the satchel that she generally carries and knocks open her revolver and like reloads her gun, spins the barrel, makes sure everything's all set, expertly like flicks it all back together, spins it around on her finger, and then holsters it, and then continues her exploration of the hedge maze, ultimately heading toward the center where that gazebo was. And perhaps as she continues to navigate the hedge maze, that's when she hears Dr. Whitford calling for her, and we'll perhaps meet up somewhere in the maze.
You may hear Jack.
Jack was calling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it was Jack that was calling. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I kind of like that we arrived from different directions because Dr. Whitford took the most direct route.
Oh, yeah.
While you were wandering around there.
You know, like maybe the three of us converge from like three different directions, and like right toward and I was thinking like, right toward the entrance that was leading toward the gazebo that was in the center of it.
Oh, absolutely. So, the garden gazebo is a beautifully sculpted structure placed in the center of the puzzle garden hedge maze, and it's behind the inn. Paint the scene. What kind of tale would the gazebo tell if it could speak of its visitors that reach the heart of the maze? What kind of tale would the gazebo tell if it could speak of its visitors that reach the heart of this maze?
I'm thinking that this gazebo has I think the tale would be one of torrid romance, because you can't really see it from the street. It's a bit of a work to work your way through the hedge maze to the gazebo, and I think all sorts of torrid and I think all sorts of torrid affairs and various acts of debauchery have happened here in the past. And yes, that is the sort of, and I think a very blue tale is what the gazebo would be telling you.
I think it'll tell a short story about one of the girls that worked here had gone out every couple of nights, or every couple of weeks would go out to the gazebo late at night and practice her violin as quietly as she could, but still get proper resonance onto the strings. But it was just a sad song, played very muted.
I think also, somewhat sadly, there was a working boy who fancied himself a very like melodramatic poet who would come explicitly to this setting to be sad.
And I think the one of the other tales that it would tell is of kind of stooped, hunched over um old man who uh comes here twice a year and has for the last 3 decades, um toting a paint can and a paintbrush, a drop cloth, and like a painter's cap and stuff like this. And we just, and he's done it so much that he can navigate the maze just without a hitch. Like he knows his way in and out. And we just see him walk up to it. It's like, first light of dawn, as he sees like little bits of flaking paint and somewhere where somebody has carved their initials into it and stuff like that, and just sets to, pops his paint can open and starts to
Maintains. Okay. Nice. Well, you three find yourself here at the garden gazebo.
Ms. Larabee, I cannot help but notice that we heard the retort of your pistols. Did you produce a specimen for Dr. Whitford, or was it simply, or were you engaging
Alas,
in some
I did
target
not.
practice?
Well, I was trying to shoot at something that I'm not entirely sure was really there.
Oh.
Perhaps it was another ghost. Perhaps it was some kind of spiritual manifestation. Not right sure. Scared the bejesus out of me, so I wanted to let him have it. And then my vision cleared, and it was what I thought were like skeletal arms reaching out to me. Were merely loose branches of this maze. I'm not sure I can trust my eyes around here. I think we all need to be careful.
Speaking as you have of ghosts, I made the acquaintance of someone who died on the privy, and he was able to inform me that our victim, and I look to Dr. Whitford here, is not the only person here who has died in such a manner, and that somewhere there's another corpse that expired in the same way. I think perhaps we could return this evening after hours and do a more thorough search. It may require exhuming
Fantastic. Contagion.
Hmm. That doesn't sound. That sounds like it. That does not sound good, my friend. That does not sound good.
If it were good, we would not have been summoned to deal with it.
Well, that's a fair assessment. That's a fair assessment.
I feel if we return this evening, we can rely upon your keen senses to help us
Right.
find this.
And at that, she says, right. And then at that, she like walks up to the gazebo and just kind of like looks around the gazebo, looks up into the, looks up at the, rafters holding up the roof, goes down, looks around, looks at to see if there's like, like oftentimes gazebos, they're raised up a little bit and they've got like, lattice work between the bottom and the bottom and the ground, which might be a place one might stash something. So basically, I'm looking around to see if there's anything of interest or suspicion here in the gazebo.
Info move with reason, I imagine.
Info move with reason. What is my reason? My reason is flat. Let me take a look at my stash. Anything in my personal quarters that might help me here? I don't think so, so I guess I'm just gonna roll it. I cannot roll to save my life in this game. That's another 6.
The hell? Wow, which
I
dice
haven't-
really does not like you?
I
What
have
the
rolled.
hell?
I think this is my 5th roll of the game. I've got 1 7 and 9. I got 2 7 and 9s, and the others were misses.
Holy frick. Okay. Jeez.
This dice roller does not like me.
No, I'm gonna say it. It just really does not like you. Damn it.
And I've tried to turn up clues, and I just cannot turn up clues to save my life here. Depending on how bad this is, I may be putting on a mask. But let's hear what happens.
Rivulets of fog will suddenly appear across the floor of the gazebo, flowing across everyone's feet. And I think it's daytime, but I think you'll start seeing that it's almost as if the hedge maze has started to grow a little bit more and like creates a canopy over this center, over the gazebo, over you all, as if trapping you and keeping the light out. And the fog pours in, and you just start hearing whispers. And they just keep getting louder, but they're not saying anything, at least not that you hear. And my question to you, Larabee, do you think that this is something that you are seeing just yourself, or do you think this is something that the others see?
Well, I've got that trust. I have that condition right now. Can I trust my eyes? And I think I am. I think I am indeed doubting my senses. I think I'm seeing some kind of vision or premonition. My hand reflexively goes to the handle of my pistol, but I don't draw it this time. And yeah, Rose looks like Rose tenses and assumes assumes a clearly defensive position as she like starts scanning around looking for threats.
Your companions are looking around as if, like, perhaps also searching for some kind of indicator, clues, what have you, but I think you'll see that they look as if there's something growing out of their ears. What do you do?
I think I'm going to I think I am going to I think I'm going to do something. I think I'm going to put on a mask and bump that miss to a 7 or 9.
Okay.
I'm going to mark my first mask of the past, which is narrate a flashback to your childhood that shows the high level of privilege you were born into. I have an idea, but I'm going to hold that for I'm going to hold that and narrate it either when it seems appropriate or.
Yeah, I mean, you can wait until the end of the phase,
Yep.
because the doctor owes me a mask as well. So 7 to 9, it's like you do find something. So specifically, you're searching around in the gazebo, yeah.
Yep, I'm looking around the gazebo, looking up in the rafters, looking
Are you
underneath.
Are you climbing? Like maybe to look in the rafters of the gazebo. Are you like kind of climbing the railing?
100%.
Okay.
100%. She like grabs onto one of the
Yeah.
wooden pillars that's holding up the roof, hoists herself up, stands on the railing, is holding on to one of the railings, puts her other hand like onto one of the rafters, and if she can't see above them, she'll like grab another one of the rafters and just kind of like hoist herself up.
Yeah.
As if she was doing a pull-up.
You are looking, doing that wonderful, very physical thing, and you are finding up in the rafters, you see what looks like a velvet pouch tucked away in above a rafter. So if you didn't do what you were doing, you wouldn't have seen it because you can't see it from below.
Got it.
Yeah.
I will climb up into the rafters and retrieve that velvet pouch.
But I think as you are retrieving it, I think you catch onto something and you get caught. So I would like you to tell me, as you get caught, you either get caught or you slip. So you can either tell me that you get scratched, so you have a scratch, or you have I don't know, sprained ankle or something like that.
I think I think there's a loose nail up there, and as she's climbing around up there, she catches, as she's hoisted herself up onto the rafters, I think she catches like the inside of her forearm on like a loose nail that's sticking up, and she gets a really nasty gash on her left arm.
Yeah.
And I don't think she I mean, I think she notices that I think she notices she was scratched, but I don't think she realizes how badly she's bleeding until she retrieves that and then hops down, and when she like hops down and she looks down, she sees blood dripping. She sees she's standing in she sees blood dripping down next to her. And that's when she realizes that this wasn't just a scratch, this is a cut.
Yeah. Exactly. So nasty gash. So that's your condition. And then what you find in the velvet pouch is it's a tiny little music box. When you try to play it, there's a weird little pop catch to the handle. It's hard to turn and it makes annoying sounds.
So a tiny music box that
it makes
it
makes a strange pop in the handle.
Okay. Interesting.
But that's what you find.
Okay. And as she gets down and she's looking at that and she then looks at her arm and says, God damn it. And I think she pockets the music box and then opens up her satchel and pulls out I think she pulls out she pulls out like a blue bandana like one would wear in the West, and she starts wrapping it around bandaging herself and trying to tie it one-handed. I mean, unless the doctor wants to hop in and help. No, okay. Not that kind of doctor. I see.
Kind of doctor.
I could be, but in this time, it's just consequences for actions.
Yeah, that's fine. It's fine. What is Dr. Whitford and Jack doing while this is happening? You're seeing Larabee getting very physical and crawling all over the gazebo practically. What is Dr. Whitford and Jack doing around the gazebo, if anything?
Something more measured or ground focused. I'm not even sure that I'm looking or just trying to look like I'm looking, but I am walking around the flat area. Are there benches or anything outside the gazebo? I'm imagining a clearing with a gazebo in the center. Is there anything else in this flat space?
No. I mean, imagine the gazebo with excuse me. Of course, the domed roof, the railing that Rose is using to clamber upon, and then the benches within the railing,
Okay.
and then maybe like alternating benches outside. In case people want to like sit and admire the outside of the gazebo itself.
Yeah, look at the ground around the benches.
Sure. If you want to do an info move yourself, that's perfectly fine.
Sure. Let's see how Witch Dice is feeling now.
Reason.
Another 6.
What the devil is going the hell on? I'm not even gonna let you guys roll anymore because it's just getting too freaking delicious. Holy crap, doodle doo. Oh boy.
I no longer want for information. Conceptually.
So you said you're looking at down on the ground. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just gonna do it because it's just fun.
Of course.
All right, so I think as you're looking down on the ground and you're kind of like checking around the outside of the gazebo, I think you take strange steps. The combination of steps you're taking is just the right combination to do something very, very odd. And you step on a particular flagstone that for some reason gives way underneath your foot, and you find yourself falling headlong down a chute or a trap door, however you want to put it, which immediately like comes up like behind you as if you were never there. Whoopsie. And yeah, I mean, if your companions happen to look where you were, they don't see you.
Oh, I do not know what to do.
You find yourself in the dark. You find yourself in a hole that looks like it's not that wide, not that like deep necessarily, but not so shallow that you can actually crawl your way out, but you can't even tell how far it is because you see like maybe an outline of what looks like the flagstone above you from maybe the light, but yeah, it's dirt around you. Or you can put on a mask.
A second one? Yeah, I don't wish to be here. I will put on yet another mask.
Is there a mask associated with the threat?
Yep. Mask of the
Yeah,
Sharpened
use the
Blade.
threat mask.
Yeah.
We should burn that because like if we complete the threat without using it, then we lose it. So go ahead and do that.
Yep.
And then you don't have to use one of yours.
Excellent.
Okay. That is Mask of the Sharpened Glade. Each hunter narrates a flashback to a time when they took a sheltered moment alone, somewhere peaceful, only to be forced out of it by terrible circumstances. So, everybody gets to do that. Okay? So, think on it. Obviously, don't have to do it now. Jack, do you want to have some fun?
So Dr. Whitford has not fallen down into the... Okay.
No.
Is she going to get a clue because we
Yes. Mm-hmm.
did that 7 and 9?
Yep.
Because I cannot help but notice that she seems agitated. That she is not like that. Usually she is.
She came bursting in here, like so direct, so
yeah.
ready to.
Well, but I think that like I mean, I'm a big believer that if you have conditions marked, other characters can tell that you have those conditions marked.
Mm-hmm.
So Dr. Whitford is both disturbed by the desiccation and feels that she is out of her depth. And so I think, after like she is, like down on her knees, like looking through stuff and everything, kind of scrounging around, and that is not her normal, and I feel like that may not be her normal scientific approach to observation.
Yeah.
Um,
If you wanted to, I mean, like, and this is not normal, but I mean, if you guys want to enact a vulnerable move here,
so
just to wipe
so
some stuff
I
out, I'm happy to do
so
so.
so I'm gonna kind of walk over to her where she is, like I mean, Elinor, like, are you like literally down on your hands and knees? You just kind of squatting down, squinting at stuff? Do you have a little magnifying glass out or what?
I am trying to not make anyone see my face. Like the entire point of looking at the ground is to attempt to regain my composure.
Got
So,
it. Okay.
um,
Okay.
probably squatting at most.
But I
Okay.
think like as you're noticing like this distinct behavior not like normal for Dr. Whitford. I think
Yeah.
Dr. Whitford you do find like underneath or like kind of like hidden like underneath one of the gazebo benches on the outside of it, you find a perfume bottle found to be partially filled with pond scum.
Ew.
But go ahead, Jack, if you want to
So
address.
as Dr. Whitford is kind of examining this and whatever, unscrewing it and sniffing it and doing one of these, I sit down on that bench that she got it from, and I kind of lean back and I look at her. I reach into the pocket of the jacket that they gave me, which I'm still wearing, which I didn't give back to them when I left. I left the gambling room, and I reach down into the pocket and I pull out um, uh, a peach that I grabbed from inside, and I say, "Dr. Whitford, Elinor, I cannot help but notice um, that you seem upset. This is and as I am, just kind of eating the peach and letting the juice run down my chin and all that kind of stuff, just kind of holding eye contact with her. Um, uh, I know this is not, um, this is outside of your usual scientific remit. But perhaps if together we go over the evidence we've found so far, it might help you come up with a theory. My understanding is that is how your process works. Yes.
Silent nod.
All right. And so this is me doing the vulnerable move here. So you have an intimate moment with another hunter while one of you is engaged in your vice. You may clear an appropriate condition. I don't have any conditions marked, but I am helpfully. I have
You're
learned.
healthily eating.
I have
You totally
learned
don't
that
have
if
to.
I want to hold Dr. Whitford's attention, that I can that she has trouble disengaging out of politeness when you're eating. She like I've noticed that she will not excuse herself before a meal is over and things like that. So yeah.
I like that you're glossing it as politeness.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so um and so what is, and then I'll kind of like list what we've found so far, and I will ask if her observations comport with mine. And she's not shared the specifics of what she found inside. And so by way of like, let's see what our evidence is, I'm trying to kind of elicit from her what it is that's bothering her, even if it's a roundabout, way of doing so.
This was not the kind of corpse I expected.
I can't help but notice that you did not find it useful for your project.
It is not. I think there'll be like a couple moments where it's clear that she is saying things in her head and then thinking about rephrasing it. I would not trust anything from my project would not gain any benefit from the inclusion of this sort of condition.
Yes. Uh, you would
I
you wouldn't want to end up with Pinocchio. I say, and chuckle.
I think I finally laugh. Like,
Yeah.
that's the moment where I'm like, okay, fine. Yes, Pinocchio would be unfortunate. You know, I think Dr. Whitford will say thank you. And
All
I
right,
think that you're not used to that.
All right. And so you can either clear condition or, oh no, you can clear a condition. I don't have a condition to clear. But then because it's your vice, you can stumble on a clue or invite me.
No, new rules.
No?
New-
Oh, you know what? The character keeper has the old ones.
Yes, I
So
know.
I thought that we are using the new rules. The new rules are much better. So yeah.
Yeah, new
What
rules.
pray tell are the new rules?
The new rules are basically it's like you as a table, you guys can create a clue. And when you're doing the vulnerable move, whomever's vice it is can talk about their past freely. So should have mentioned that before. I apologize, but anyway, yeah. So that's the new rule, and yeah.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I was using what we had in the
No, I apologize for that because I
hasn't been updated,
totally
so
forgot
cool.
to
Awesome.
totally forgot to
Awesome.
look at that.
No, that's much better.
Yeah.
So then
And you don't have to come up with it. You don't have to come up with the clue now. You just put in the under the threat TBD.
Yeah, sure.
Whitford Jack clue. Whatever. Vulnerable move. Yeah.
I got it.
And you can do your vice with a side character for vulnerable, but you trigger the day night move instead of getting a clue. Exactly. And the clue cannot conclusively answer one of the questions by itself, as always.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So, yeah, think on it. I mean, and I'm perfectly happy if you want to wait to put your thumb on the scale about the clue until you actually answer the question. Like, you know what I mean? Like when we actually get to the answer the question thingy, bobber. I mean, I'm perfectly happy if you wait until then.
So I don't know how everybody else feels about this, but like that mask that Kim put on so that Dr. Whitford didn't fall down the trap door, that trap door feels like not just a clue, but like a cool thing to investigate later in addition to being a clue. Is everybody how do people feel about that trap door being our clue?
I really like it that there's a trap door in the gazebo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, go for it. Yeah, go ahead and put that in if you agree as a table. That's perfectly fine. Okay.
So question. I also thought that we were doing the vulnerable move under the old rules because that was in the keeper. So it was clearly between those two. So I was kind of like I was just assuming that was happening while I was like climbing around the rafters or whatnot.
Yeah. That's what I was assuming too.
Got it. Okay. Cool. That's which is why I did not attempt to insinuate myself into that scene.
Yeah.
But it looks does look like under the new rules we can do a vulnerable move among with multiple characters at once.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. I didn't realize
it just needs one character's vice. Yeah.
Okay. I did not realize that. Cool.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, like I said, one person could be doing shooting practice and be teaching everybody else. I mean, like that works out perfectly well. I mean, I can mention at least 5 different instances where we were engaged in one person's vice, but like we all could have done it, for the times that I've played. So, yep. All right. So,
having watched someone eat the wettest possible fruit, I will no longer be disturbed by desiccation.
All right, great. Yeah, take
there
that
we go.
off.
Yes, yeah.
Take
Perfect.
that off.
Excellent.
Yep. So
not as dry as it was before, so that's
right.
good.
Exactly. All right, cool. All right, and yes, you can only participate in the vulnerable move once per phase. So yes, I mean, I hope to give an opportunity for Wild Rose and to engage with maybe Lady Ross Carter or what have you. So let's see. I mean, at this point, yeah. I mean, if you guys want to time jump to a point where you meet Lady Ross Carter,
I feel like we've kind of found what we can find, and Rose needs a tetanus shot and stuff like this, so we should get back to. We should meet back at Hargrave House. I was
going to suggest the same thing. Let's maybe have her next scene at Hargrave House.
Or did Lady Ross Carter want to do something with Miriam meeting her at excuse me, Little Blackbirds?
I was thinking to have her meet me there at night.
Ah,
because
okay,
I was kind of
perfect.
imagining we were probably getting late in the day anyway. So
Got it. Okay. Alrighty.
figured they'd be open tonight. So we haven't. Another.
Okay, so just for funsies, let's take a little. Oh, okay. So let's close out of day phase and let's enter into dusk because there's some fun stuff to be done at dusk time. Fun. Resolve any playbook moves or custom moves that are resolved during the dusk phase. G. The quickening. And with somebody's luck being weird. On which dice?
Yeah.
Weird is
Start
one
with this
word
case?
for it.
Must
Yeah.
roll with composure or sensitivity, your choice.
I'm gonna roll with sensitivity. And let's hope for the best. Nope.
What?
I got a 6.
What the freaking hell? It really does not like you.
I
Oh
have
my God.
every roll this set for me. I have rolled the dice 4 times this session, and every one of them has been a 6.
Ah, for fuck's sake. Okay, so what are your choices?
I have rolled twice and they've both been 6 as well.
They really don't like you too. Oh my lord. So, your choices are this. You can either... Oh, for fuck's sake, excuse my language. You can either do a mask to bump it up and get drained, or you can use, well, reveal your curse to another hunter and ask for their help to control you this night if they agree.
I think at this point I'm gonna put on another mask. I think the one I'm going to do, since this was related to the quickening, I'm going to mark the darkened threshold.
Oof.
Narrate a scene in which you hurt an innocent because. Oh wait, that's not a flashback. I was thinking that was a flashback.
That's why they're called
Yeah,
the Mask of the Future, son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sorry. Like I said, I haven't played the Between. I mean, I've played the Between as one shot, so masks didn't really. And every time I've played the Between in the past, I never rolled a miss. So
Whoopsie.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, it looks like I'm gonna roll. I'm gonna burn another mask.
Well,
Narrate a
the
that
American
means
is
so
the
that
one
means I've got 3 that means I've got 3 masks to narrate.
Oh, God.
This is only session 2.
I know. Well, the American is the one that always seems to burn out the fastest, so this is not a surprise.
No,
Although
I'm
it
aware
is
of
a
that.
surprise that you're burning out quite this fast. This is almost like playing trophy with like 3 rituals and you're just like, you're already on ring 4. My lord. Okay, so you're doing what now? You're doing a Mask of the Past.
I'm gonna do a Mask of the Past.
Okay. Oh my lord. Okay, so keep track of these things. God damn. All right. Explorer, would you like to use your main REC move? Oh God.
I mean, I thought I kind of was with Miriam, right?
Well, this is specifically yeah. You have no real use to call upon the Rear Admiral yet, but I mean, I just figured I'd call upon it.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Okay. So, paint the scene question about rooms of Hargrave House. Now, new rules have covered several of the rooms in Hargrave House, which means that if you choose one of those specific rooms, that it takes up the entire night phase. So, since I'm pretty sure you don't want to do that, I'm not going to call upon one of those rooms. So, old rooms will follow. So, let me pick one. Give me a second.
So while you're looking at that, is the plan to do all of these mask flashbacks at the end of the session, or before we start the night phase proper, or what?
I would like to do them either at the beginning of the end of the session here, or if you not quite prepared, then at the beginning of next session. I'm perfectly happy to do that. It's whichever feels comfortable to you. Yes. So.
Because do we have one from last time still that's hanging out there,
didn't
or
think there
no?
was anybody that was
okay,
outside.
all right.
Hold on.
I don't think anyone put on a mask
Okay.
last session.
Okay, there was.
I rolled.
There was just mine that we talked about. So okay.
On the 2 misses I rolled last session,
Yeah.
I just rolled with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you did. Yes.
Okay, that's right.
Otherwise, I would
That's
have
right.
called.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
sure.
would have said it's like, hey, you have that yet? No. Yeah, you rolled with them seriously.
Yeah,
So
I haven't rolled a 10 plus yet.
right.
I've rolled 6. I think in the whole game, I think I've rolled 7 times. I've done 3 7 and 9s, and the rest have been misses.
Okay, here we go. Let's do for funsies. Now I've included a tab for the rooms of Hargrave House. Do yourselves a favor and write in the cell of descriptions when you do the specific room, because you can always call back to them later. Okay? So, the reception hall. Do you feel unsettled or at home when you enter Hargrave House? What do you perceive in the reception hall that reinforces the feeling? Unsettled or at home when you enter Hargrave House?
Rose feels unsettled every time she walks into Hargrave House because it reminds her very much of the house she grew up in and ran away from. And I think what happens in the reception room is like the house I grew up in had a reception room that was laid out almost identically in terms of like the size of the room, the doors on the other sides, the kind of molding on the top, and the view through the main door of the big staircase going out. It looks very much, I mean, the art's different, wallpaper's different, but the physical layout of the room completely reminds her of the house she grew up in that she ran away from.
I think Lady Ross Carter feels quite at home. Her favorite part of the house happens to be in this room, and it's a painting of a ship that's mounted above the foyer table. And there's something about this ship that seems has the adventurous spirit that she often connects to.
I think Dr. Whitford feels comforted at home. It's just a little bit cooler to her perception than it would necessarily be like appropriate to the outside, and like many of her best times are in sort of quiet, cooler rooms, and it takes her back to her lab or morgues she's been in, and she associates the feeling of cool with what she thinks are good things.
And Jack feels at home because when you walk in, there are a series of portraits of previous residents of Hargrave House. You know, there's like some with like, powdered wigs and, kind of colonial era dress. And there's another one before that of people looking very, kind of austere Cromwell with the, hats with the buckles on them. And, going back as far back as they go, Jack is in every single one of them, dressed pretty much like he is right now. Back to, the very earliest of those portraits. He's in all of them.
So you have 8 clues on you have 2 questions, both of which are 4 complexity each. So, I mean, you have 8 clues to play with. I mean, you could conceivably answer one or both of the questions.
Oh yeah, rolling flat with the way our dice have been going. That sounds like a great idea.
I was merely making a suggestion. Or you could answer one question and like have a bonus out your butt. So that is up to you, okay? So
is there a cap, or can we burn as much as we want?
what do you mean?
Like, is there a cap on the bonus that we can get, or?
Let's put it this way. All right, so I did a Brindlewood Bay campaign. Those ladies were absolutely bazonkers, all right? They did, I don't know, complexity, whatever the hell it was. 16 frickin' clues, all right? 18 frickin' clues. You want to talk about a bonus? Yeah, they went for a bonus. You do what you want. So
Okay, so if we want to use like all 8 clues on a complexity 4 and roll with a +4, we can.
absolutely. I'm not gonna fuss.
Or we could, use fewer and hold one in reserve for the next question if we wanted
Exactly. Yeah, you do what you need to. But just remember, I only provided 20 clues because that's what we really write for when we do these threads.
Except that we can do stuff where we create clues on our own.
Right,
so
but
we're already at 21. So
so there you go. I'm just saying. And still remember, you only have 3 night phases, all right? So just remember that. Don't go too crazy.
What were the clues, the mastermind clues?
I believe in us.
Because I have the ability to use them.
Oh, yes. Okay, sorry about that. I meant to put those
I just want to make sure
I'm
using them correctly.
Yes.
They are both TBD.
No. I have.
So they had been,
I did give
been codified, but they didn't get.
They didn't get typed out. That's right.
I got excited. I was telling you about them, but I didn't actually write them in.
I meant to write it in, but I neglected it and I forgot.
Well, we also got excited. So hold on. All right. So from Jack's card game,
I have the ability to use one as a clue for a. It says mastermind clues can be used for the answer or question.
That doesn't set us back in terms of our progress, right? It just means that you can use it as a clue.
It doesn't say that it sets us back.
Okay, so I'm gonna assume that that's
that
it does not.
I'm easygoing, so
I would love
unless
to,
it says it, then I'm not gonna fuss. Like I said,
like we're actually in really good shape with 6 clues, so I would love to tackle that, like the bonus question: how is the killer able to use the power of nature? Because that kind of seems like what we've been concentrating on.
Yep.
I have a lot that lean that way. That's why I was curious about that mastermind clue, because I feel like it would fit very nicely.
Sure.
Because we have the poetry, we have the tiny music box and the perfume. Like all of that could be.
All right. So the mastermind clues. I'm going to read off all the clues. All right. So the 2 mastermind clues are: Jack walks with Ms. Pemberton Potts in a daydream dream and hears, "Are you ready for the forest's coming?" And then the other one is a well-worn letter quoting Ophelia's flower speech in Hamlet. "There's rosemary, that's for remembrance. Pray, you love, remember." And then the clues, all of the clues are: Lord Brookmead's walking stick found broken in half, a letter of steamy ardor with no recipient or sender identified, poetry on the nature of finding oneself, an overheard argument between 2 side characters ending with "he had it coming," Lord Brookmead's journal with certain entries torn out, a tiny music box with a peculiar pop catch in the handle, hard to turn and makes annoying sounds, a perfume bottle found to be partially filled with pond scum instead, and there is a trap door in the gazebo. Those are all your clues that you could possibly use. But you can only use 1 clue, as far as I understand it, Lady Ross Carter, towards this one thread.
Yes, that's what I would assume per mystery.
Per thread, yes. Right. So, yes, what would you like to do?
So we need to. I would suggest let's figure out the first question first. Is the killer one of the other patrons or one of the escorts?
Is that where you want to go? Or, I mean, you don't have to. You can always do the bonus question instead.
Could do the bonus question first. That's true. Do we want to go with the bonus question first?
Yes, please.
Okay.
So
we get cool things.
Yeah. We haven't done a night phase yet, right? So we'll still have 2 after this one.
Yeah, like no night phase yet.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so let's do the bonus one first then. How was the killer able to use the power of nature to murder Lord Brookmead while everyone was at the house?
Get you the custom move, the forest's sense. So, yeah, what do you got?
I'm just looking at the clues, and the ones that seem to align with like magical rituals off the top of my head would be, if we wanted to pull in that first mastermind clue, "Are you ready for the forest's coming?" Because that seems to be directly tied into powers of nature. Perfume bottle with pond scum seems kind of nature-ish.
I feel like the music box would like trigger this thing. If nothing else, it would be a really great score to have under this ritual.
Yeah, maybe like the music of that music box is like some kind of magical music that resonates with the music of the spheres or something like that, which is why it sounds weird.
And it's hard to turn because we are mere mortals and correctly.
And the walking stick seems like there's, if it's a wooden walking stick, might be tied to that somehow.
Perhaps the walking stick needed to be broken because it was connected to Lord Brookmead. So that's kind of like a way of an extension of the body being that walking stick.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
I like it.
that.
I like
Yeah.
it.
Breaking nature to be part of this
Yep.
ritual.
Yep. That's cool. And the letter is what lured him here. Gives us 5. So if we could get one more, we got, they used the letter to lure him here. Oh, and the gazebo, I feel like the trap door is how whoever did it got out without being seen.
Yeah.
It's how they escaped, how they like snuck out.
Got it. Oh, there's a tunnel. There's a tunnel
Yeah.
that goes from the house to the. There's a tunnel that goes from the house to the gazebo, and then
Yeah.
there's that trap door is
Yeah.
how you
Mhm.
escape. I
Mhm.
love
So
it.
they had to be there when they were murdering, or are we positing that they set something up and then they wandered off through this trapdoor?
I feel like whoever did it would want to see it happen to him. You know what I mean? Like they would be like, now you see what nature, blah, blah, blah. Are you ready for nature's coming? I don't think you are.
I would even posit that perhaps they even like read the poem, the poetry of the nature of finding oneself, being that like
Oh yeah, or maybe they read it backwards or upside down or in whatever, like old druidic or something like that.
That's
that's the incantation.
The poetry is the incantation.
Yeah, I love that.
So you are using that first mastermind clue? I'm just like putting it in there so you can just like see it.
Please.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I think Jack tells me about it, and I'm like, oh yes.
And somebody other than me should roll.
Yes.
Why? Why? It sounds like you're having a wonderful time. Absolutely.
So we're rolling +3?
Looks like it. But I will say, I mean, like, it doesn't have to be just one person. I will also accept 2 people, 1 die each, if people are feeling funky about it.
I haven't rolled yet. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, roll it.
Roll it.
That's cool.
Roll it.
Okay. Roll it.
Got a 9.
Bingo. There we go.
So you're fine. It is right.
7 and 9 is always the best because we're right, but it's complicated.
Yep.
Right and complicated. Yep. Always the best way. All right.
Although we get the move now. So
so you get the move.
I made a note in the mastermind that first clue was used in the Enigma at Little Blackbirds. Just so we.
Sweet.
Fabulous.
Very cool.
Good answer, y'all. Good answer.
I will have to paste this into the special moves thing later because it's a bit wonky, but I will post it in Zoom as well as Discord so this way you can at least see it. Okay, so custom move, the Forest Sense. This custom move allows a hunter to see intent behind natural symbols presented, the language of flowers, the emotion behind a particular environment. Whenever you touch, listen to, or experience something of nature, roll with sensitivity. On a hit, you may ask a single question regarding what you touched, listened to, or experienced, and the keeper may answer with as much or as little detail as they wish, providing it in the form of a clue if they so choose. On a 7 to 9, also gain the condition Forest for the Trees. On a 10+, no condition or backlash. On a miss, the keeper may also choose to obscure their answer or mislead with false information. Now, I'm also going to put a caveat on this when I redo, or improve upon this, because this is still a playtest.
Sure.
And when I rewrite it for itch, basically I'm going to put a caveat in here. It's like there's going to be meta disclosure. In other words, do not, like, as a keeper, do not fuck around and, like, screw your players. I mean, like, I will tell you if I'm misleading you, okay? Your characters won't know, but you as players will know if I'm misleading you, because I know that people would get upset if I'm not, being completely forthright, because that would be a shitty thing to do, okay? But for the most part, yeah. And I think you could figure it out too if it's a miss.
Yeah, because some GMs who've learned how to GM, by being very adversarial would conceivably want to screw their players.
And I don't want to do that. I mean, I'm a fan of the story and I'm a fan of the characters. I'm not a fan of, like, pissing you guys off or screwing you over. So,
And that's the difference between the advice given to PBTA GMs versus the advice given to, like, D&D GMs.
just saying. So, anyway, but that is the custom move, and I'll plug that into, unless somebody's like feeling ambitious and wants to do it themselves. But yeah, that's the custom move of the Forest Sense. Okay? So, at any point, because I do have it in my notes for the Mastermind or for any of the stuff for the associated threat. So if I do mention anything about plants, but I don't give the information right away about what it means, you can use this particular ability, and then I can tell you what the thought is behind it. All right. So that is what you get. Fabulous. All right. So given that. And there's still a little bit of time left. But I also don't want to go too cray-cray, especially because it's like I kept you guys too late last time. That was insane. Let's establish what you plan on doing for the upcoming night phase. And maybe we'll end a little bit early tonight. So we'll see. Well, I mean, we also have the opportunity for you guys to resolve your masks.
Yep.
So, what do you plan on doing for night phase, for the upcoming night phase?
I plan on meeting Miriam at the. We were there the whole day, and I can't remember the name of it.
Little Blackbirds.
Little Blackbirds, yeah.
Yeah, Miriam.
I was also thinking of returning to the Little Blackbirds to see if we can figure out who was actually. We know that a magical ritual was performed.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back and see if we can figure out who was actually performing these rituals.
Got it. Okay. Jack? Doctor?
Doctor.
I feel like Dr. Whitford is not interested in doing anything solo at the moment.
Okay.
That we'll be going along with someone.
Do we, I'm trying to think what, yeah, so I'm wondering if there's people we can go, Dr. Whitford, if perhaps you and I might want to go visit some of the patrons when they are not at the Blackbird. Maybe my oh, you know what? We didn't ever really figure out who that woman sitting across from me who looked nervous was, but I think but we do know my card partner there.
Yeah, Lord Mumford.
Could I have possibly gotten the name of someone else that Emma has spent time with, either that same night or?
She spent the whole night with Brookmead.
Yeah, let's pay a visit to Lord Mumford.
Okay, sure.
How do you feel about that, Kim? Are you okay with that?
I feel awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. Before
Lord Mumford and his young companion.
Maybe
sitting at the table with us there. His valet.
Actually, it's like it wasn't his valet, but I mean, it was an acquaintance of his.
Oh! I got the impression that it was someone that worked for him.
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. Sorry. From my recollection, kind of from the way that was framed, I thought that he was in the employ of Lord Mumford there.
No, I mean,
okay,
he could be, but I mean, like, no, I mean, like, he wasn't.
But not obviously. Okay, it was just someone else that was playing cards with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Well, we'll see. We'll see who shows who's with Lord Mumford at his place.
I mean, I think, and the other thing that Jack is going to say to Dr. Whitford is, we have no particular reason to believe that the list of victims stopped with just one, and so making sure that we check on the other regulars might not be a bad idea.
And then let's see. Okay, we'll wait for the Janus mask. Let me pick out an unseen before we go into whether people are ready with their masks or not. Give me a second. Let's see, what do I usually like to do? Let's do, oh my gosh, I just realized it's like, I need to really blow these up because my glasses are the worst. All right, we're going to do the dinner party. Eric Taylor has a good job as a clerk, and with his wife Abigail, they form the very picture of the respectable new Victorian middle class. Behind the lace curtains of their terrace home, they are throwing a small dinner party for equally respectable friends, the Davenports. The Taylor's daughter, Maud, plays piano passably in the parlor before dinner is served. Paint the scene is everyone. Okay, second prompt goes to. Oh boy, let's make that Jim. Third prompt goes to.
Who is afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Third prompt goes to Clint. And last prompt goes to Kim. Right. So we're all set up for next time for night phase. Okay. Yes, people got masks. Everybody has the Mask of the Sharpened Glade. Again, Mask of the Sharpened Glade is each hunter narrates a flashback to a time where they took a sheltered moment alone somewhere peaceful, only to be forced out of it by terrible circumstances. Okay? Everybody does that one, and then of course we have the good doctor.
Doc had one, I had two.
Yes. Sorry. So, whomever's ready.
And if I'm reading this correctly, my mask is just a name.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, however long or short you want to narrate that, yeah.
So I can go. I think I've given sufficient thought.
Oh,
I'm
and
gonna...
but before you go, sorry,
Okay.
I just also want to just mention, it's like it is okay if you want to combine masks as well.
The two Masters of the Past that I was thinking of going to be, I was gonna do like one scene that handled both.
Perfect. Okay,
Cool.
go for it.
So I think I'm gonna start with the Mask of the Sharpened Blade, which is each hunter narrates a flashback to a time they took a sheltered moment alone somewhere peaceful, only to be forced out of it by terrible circumstances. So 5 years ago, Rose and a couple of companions are riding horseback through the desert clearly in the American Southwest. As they are riding on this trail, they notice the wind picks up. Not Rose, one of the other people who looks like they are. The other person's kind of like dressed like a Mexican cowboy. The person is of Latino descent, and he looks up and he says something in Spanish, and Rose looks at him and nods and responds in Spanish, and like the subtitles were, there's a sandstorm coming in. We need to find shelter now. Rose's response is, like Rose looks around and then points and responds again in Spanish. There's a mesa over there. If we hard ride, we can. There's probably a. If we hard ride, there's probably a canyon we can take shelter in. And so the three of them do a hard ride toward this mesa as the wind is kicking up, and we can see in the distance like a hadoop is, like massive sandstorm is approaching. We get to the base of the mesa, dismount, lead our horses in, and that's when it hits. And there's sandstorm, and the wind is whipping, and there's a couple of strokes of lightning, and we're in this like it's basically it's a cave. It's not a very deep cave, but it's like a wind carved cave. But as we're in there, that's when we hear, we don't hear it initially over the sound of the wind, but that's when Rose looks down and hears like rattling, and looks down and sees that there are a whole bunch of sidewinders that are also in here. And that's when we realize that it's probably safer in the storm than it is in this cave. So we hop on our horses and like run back out into the sandstorm, and it's bad. I think the three get separated in the storm. I think the next scene was, like several hours later, the storm is over. Rose is, Rose has like lacerations on her face from like the sand cutting her. the horse is injured, and she doesn't see her 3 companions because they got separated in the storm.
I think I would like to wait for mine, because unless it would make really weird sense, I'd like to do all my threat masks from the same point of view I'd be doing the Mask of the Past from. And I kind of want to get my first Mask of the Past out before I do those. That makes sense.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I mean, I feel like you don't have to, because I feel like the masks of the threats are specifically for the hunters themselves.
Okay.
But if you want to, I mean, if you want to do it from the perspective of, like, your specific masks of the past, I don't have an objection. But I don't want to wait too long, because I'm not sure when you're gonna have to roll again. That's the game,
Well, I'll prep for assuming that I'll hit a mask at some point soon. Because I when you said that I could, combine them, I'm like, oh, I know exactly how I would combine the two there. So.
Okay. So put a question mark on that one to see how fast it's gonna go. I'm gonna have to get you in danger real quick.
I'm trigger.
And we are hitting night phase, so
I'm trigger happy with my mask, so don't worry about it.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll see.
Promises.
I know, right? Who else? Who wants to do their mask?
I can go.
Okay. Oh, this is your past or mask of sharpened glade, or both?
Both.
Okay, great.
It's almost dawn. Like, it's either very, very late or very, very early. And you see Elinor sort of almost in a 90s movie way, like taking her hair down very clearly. Like, this is sort of an end of day thing. She's got some tea and just sort of radiating a palpable sense of satisfaction. Like, whatever you can tell, whatever she just spent all night doing, she is happy and she's satisfied. There's a knock on the, she's probably, I don't know, like on a porch watching the sun almost come up. And there's a knock on the door frame. And there's someone there with a letter. They say, "It's Mrs. Taylor, ma'am." And Elinor goes, sort of in a very resigned, like she said this all the time, "It's doctor." And the person goes, "It's Mrs. Taylor, doctor." And Elinor goes again, "It's doctor." And you see the person pause. Oh, and then sort of like the wheels churning. "It's Dr. Taylor, doctor." And Elinor has been like, so she's happy. She's correcting someone. She didn't really like parse the mess that there was a message about Dr. Taylor, just that someone was, whatever the professional version of misgendering is, both her and Dr. Taylor, who is her longtime friend, Delphinium Taylor. And it is clear from the bearing that this is not good news. Something has happened to Dr. Taylor. And I believe those are both of my masks.
Good to do mine. All right, so we see Jack. He is limping into a beautiful tiled room with a steaming bath laid out before it. There are kind of Roman frescoes along the wall. He is like unstrapping armor, like the greaves and stuff and everything, and just kind of like letting it clang onto the tiles as he walks through. He is clutching his side, where there's some kind of grievous wound, blood kind of flowing down between his fingers. He unstraps a belt, and as he lays it down on the bench, we can see that there is a Roman sword hooked on it, the very same one that he has in his, personal quarters today. He lays it down there. He kind of limps down into the bath. He sits down. He leans back, spreads his arm. The water kind of this sort of turns pink as as that wound kind of heals up, and he is there for only a few moments before there's kind of a bloop, bloop, bloop. There's like a couple of bubbles just kind of spontaneously burst in front of him. And that kind of snaps his eyes open because he had almost been drifting off to sleep. And a couple more bubbles go up. And then he feels like a rumble. the water starts to kind of actually sort of froth a little bit. From outside, he hears a scream. More screaming starts, and the rumbling now has started to become pervasive. He leaps up out of the bath. He grabs the sword, unsheathing it. He runs out into the street bare naked, holding this sword, to see Vesuvius exploding into the sky. And he looks up at it and he sighs and he kind of looks down at his feet. And he sets his jaw and he starts walking towards the mountain as around him the citizens of Pompeii start to gasp, choke, and collapse.
Amazing.
I'm going to do my other two now. So it's Boston, Massachusetts, 1867. It's a rather opulent townhouse, like well appointed. We see, we see a little. I think the camera shows like a little bit of a street scene. This like this red brick townhouse in in the wealthier part of Boston. Then we see inside. This is a very, very well-to-do family. The place is, there are servants, there are, expensive art on the walls, expensive furniture, lush carpeting, wood panels, very a girl of about 9 is in this prim pinafore is well not is in a is in a very a very fancy pinafore. Her hair is all done up. Hair is the same color as Rose's. And there's a voice from like the next room over which calls out, "Mildred, come here, it is time for your piano lesson." And she saw the girl sighs, opens the door and walks into like the music room, because this house has a music room. And there is a youngish man who is dressed not nearly as well as her parents, who is standing next to a piano with like beginner sheet music there. And he gestures and he says, "Hello, good afternoon, Mildred. I hope you've been practicing." And she sticks her tongue out at him and says, "I don't want to play piano. Playing the piano is stupid. I want to go out and play. This is dumb." And a voice from the other room, like a male voice from the other room, shouts, "Mildred, that is no way to treat your teacher. Sit down and sit down and learn your lesson." She sighs, goes over and sits down and petulantly starts playing her lesson. And that was narrated flashback to your childhood that shows the high level of privilege you were born into, and narrated flashback to youth showing what an arrogant, willful brat you were.
And there you go. Okay. Thank you very much. So.
And we've also learned what Rose's real name is.
Half of it. We don't know if it's Larabee's not a particularly Bostonian name.
All right, so we have a plan for night phase, so we'll see if that actually comes to pass. All right, and we have an unseen for next time. Actually, let me just remark that so this way I don't lose it. All right, so the dinner party. All right, so we're all set, and then I'm just going to go ahead and end a little bit early tonight. So we're going to end with some stars and wishes. Things that you liked about today's session, gameplay, roleplay, and each other for stars, and wishes are what you'd like to see for next time and the future. Writer's room for sure. So, whomever wants to start.
Good God, Pompeii. That was beautiful. I don't have like stars and wishes all the way thought out. I just needed to say good God, Pompeii.
As soon as I heard the rumbling, as soon as I saw the rumbling, I was like, he's gonna be mentioning Pompeii. He's gotta be mentioning Pompeii.
He wanted that bath so bad. Yeah. So bad.
Yeah. Perfect. Absolutely perfect.
I'll go ahead. I wrote some stuff down here. Clint, the introducing a poet like that was very cool. That you asked for a poet, and not, whatever, pugilist or whatever, something like that. But that was very fun. That was a neat character to bring on board, and a cool way to keep us entertained while you were off doing a separate thing from the rest of us, and to bring some engaging characters in. And also, I also love it whenever anybody says, "Hey, could we have somebody who is cool enough that we're going to want to see them for the rest of the campaign?" And that was very much served that up. Mads, I wrote down the words. So following on that, I wrote down the words, "Their glassy eyes, I consider a challenge." I love the idea that like her take on an audience of like mouth breathing Philistines is that they are the true reason that one like anybody can declaim to the educated, but if you can reach the troglodytes, then that is the mark of a true poet. And I just love that's like I have a very clear sense of who she is just from that one line, and I liked it enough that I wrote it down. Kim not helping Rose with her cut. Like actions have consequences. That was I like not that kind of doctor. I like that. I also wrote down she's happy she's correcting someone. Um, which is that's I really like that. I had a little bit of that going on when I played my doctor, and so it's good to see that is consistent across. Mike, Rose bitching about like the constables probably had 3 pints for breakfast and they're harassing her about a little nip in her coffee. Like that didn't seem terribly fair. I like that. That was fun. I wrote that down too. Wishes. I'm looking forward to getting killed because that's like the whole point of my playbook. So I'm hoping we can get into a situation where I get, shot, stabbed, defenestrated, something like that. Really looking forward to that. And then seeing how and like I liked that like we had a little bit of a hint in that kind of our cold open of the kind of like Dr. Whitford, Jack, kind of like almost like slapstick sort of duo, the kind of screwball duo. And her and how she will respond to my regularly getting killed is a dynamic I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. And also I want to see Rosa just shoot somebody. Looking forward to that, getting a chance to skin those smoke wagons. So, and that's it for me.
I'll go. Jim summoning a ghost in a bathroom. There's not a quote good way that could happen for the ghost. So beautiful. And Kim just like storming through the hedge maze, like brilliant. And I don't really know if this was in character or not, but after you rolled one of your sixes, you go, "I no longer want for information." Just perfect. And Mike, the snake pit for your flashback, very cool. I wasn't expecting a snake pit. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And Matt, thanks for hanging with my poet idea. The moment like you mentioned Shakespeare, I was like, okay, wait, there's something to be done with that. Although I wasn't quick on my Shakespeare references at that moment, it kind of sent me to a different place. So it definitely was a moment where I was like, wait, would it make sense for them to have a poet? Yeah, it would totally make sense for them to have something like that. So I'm excited to see what happens with her. So my wish is to see what happens with Miriam.
I'm happy to go next. The stars that I had jotted down, mostly already been said, but I'll just reiterate. Jim, your character, your character being in Pompeii in 79 AD when Vesuvius blew, that's amazing. I also have to echo what Clint said about, your encounter with the ghost in the bathroom was just fantastic. I love that whole scene.
Privy, please. It was the privy ghost. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Kim, I also just like the way you were like, again, I want to echo just how you were like determinedly marching through the hedge maze. That just tells us so much about the character. And also then, yes, you're not You made no effort whatsoever to help Rose after she cut herself from climbing around the rafters. Yep, again, that's telling us so much about that character. That was fantastic. And I also have to echo, and Clint, I also have to echo the poet. I was not expecting you to introduce that kind of NPC, and I'm like, yeah, that's awesome. Not expecting to see that, but that is really, really cool. And I think this is again, I think this is a character this is a side character that I'm hoping is going to be recurring. And as for wishes, yeah, just I don't have any specific wishes, other than like more kind of like more inter character, like have Rose have more inter character, like getting into like more inter character scenes with the other PCs. I think she was kind of like off on her own a bit last session and this session, and like having a little more interaction I think would be good. And yeah, and stardom as for just putting up with our bullshit.
I can go. Stars to Bads, both for, I couldn't tell if it was squash or squelch, but the line "you would never squelch" from the poet.
Squelch.
Squelch. Also, like the moment where you're like, I could choose genie rules for this ghost and just tell you how they died and then no more. Just the moment of, are you going to choose violence? Was lovely. Clint writing poetry about it as a way to handle something was beautiful, as was the whole Bard's secret child. Rose, just the way that you narrated what you'd been up to since last we saw you, were like, yeah, I shot at a hedge, as well as just sort of getting up in the gazebo. For what it's worth, Dr. Whitford would tend you back at the house, just not in that moment. Pocket Peach? Like, I loved the actual real sentiment behind the moment, but also that you're still wearing a jacket that somehow has a peach in a pocket. Like the combination of intimacy and slapstick was really cool. Wish, I kind of want to see how Lady Ross Carter talks to the rest of us. Like both what they've been up to, but just I get a very like unruly children feeling from us at this point that I'm curious to see how it plays out. Yeah, I think that's it.
A lot of things that I would star have already been mentioned, but definitely the interaction with Jack and Dr. Whitford. I mean, Jack noticing that Dr. Whitford was uncharacteristically upset and then using the peach conveniently in the pocket of the borrowed jacket to kind of like gain her attention, to kind of focus and then try to find out what was wrong. I mean, I really love that very organic way of like, going into a vulnerable scene. I mean, it doesn't have to happen in a certain order, but when it happens like, very naturally like that, I will totally like, let you guys just run with it. So, so if stuff like that happens, like, please, like, just feel free. And if so long as you involve a vice, like one of your vices, go for it. I mean, like I'm here about watching scenes. If I had actual popcorn, I'd be watching. It'd be fine. And regardless of whether you actually have a condition or not, like whether you both have conditions, again, if it's giving character moments, giving like progression to your arc, I'm cool with that too. I'm like, there's really not a lot that I'm gonna bitch about and like object to. I mean, like, bringing in NPCs that you're interested in like, that you want to engage with. I'm cool with that. I don't have to stick to the people in the threat. I have been known to bring in NPCs that like, who the hell are these people? So trust me, I'm cool with you bringing in people. All right, gives me practice on being everybody else, so that's fine. I love that shit. So bullshit, cool. And then like, Dr. Whitford's reaction to Jack, and then like also like, just the whole, I mean, and again, wasn't sure whether like, like in character or like the hesitancy of like trying to like explain like where the disturbance was coming from. But I mean, I just liked how it ended, where it's like, the humor was kind of like bringing the doctor back to herself. I think like, the humor helped to ground her. So that was a very cute scene, and that's like, I'd like to see more of that. And like for the two characters that were kind of off on their own doing their things, I'd like to see a scene with them two together. So I'm kind of like mixing that a wish into the mix of like wanting to see Lady Ross Carter and Larabee like together to see how they interact. That would be such an interesting interaction, whether it be just a scene or an actual vulnerable move. Regardless, I think that would be fascinating to watch. And then yeah, I mean like the whole physicality of what you do, Mike, with Larabee is great because I mean again we get a really good sense of her character when she does. I mean, shooting off into the hedge or like climbing the gazebo to find shit. I mean, like, that is, that describes what she does and that's who she is. So I love it. And then Lady Ross Carter, I mean, like, she has a very unique way of looking at things, which is why she goes further afield than just looking in the actual place where shit's happening. So I appreciate you like going to see Mr. Thistle. I appreciate you going to the REC and like actually seeking out your pet poet instead of like, the usual suspects like Sir Anthony or what have you. So I love it. Like, more please. And yeah. So stars all around for just all the unique character decisions and wishes for more of the same. I'd be interested to see how you guys handle night phase in your investigations, and then seeing what you come up with for like who you think actually did it. So we'll see how this goes. All right, yay! Given that, yeah, we'll be starting in with night phase for next time with just a reminder about what the unseen is and yeah the beginning of the description of the unseen to remind ourselves like what we're going to be doing, and then like jumping right into night phase and seeing what happens. All right, so try to do it as punchy as possible. We'll see how far we get, and then if that's the case, then we'll go into a new threat for next time. Oh boy. So boy howdy, it'll be fun. Okay, so you guys have a wonderful night, a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Happy gaming to you all. All right, see ya. Thank you.